Well, hope you enjoyed that special intro. Like to welcome everyone to a special edition of the Danny Show. I'm your host, Daniel Cody, and this is where I give commentary and reviews on all things wrestling. Let's get started because today is the day of the tribal chief, the head of the table, the man of 1,000 days. I'm talking about ours truly, Roman Reigns. So let's acknowledge the chief with another top 10 countdown of best heel matches from Roman Reigns, part 2. Part 1 is already up from last year. Be sure to check that out for those of you who are new. And this is part 2. Let's go. At number 10 on this list, we have Roman Reigns versus Kevin Owens at TLC 2020. This was during Roman's early year as champion, and this was also during the time of the early bloodline members just being Paul Heyman, who stares at him creepily all the time, and Jay Uso, main event Jay at the time. Also, Kevin Owens was basically in a handicap match. He had to put Jay through a table. He had to overcome being speared through a table to put Roman Reigns through a table with his pop-up powerbomb. But none of that was enough to keep the tribal chief down, and he would go on to win the match and continue to carry WWE on SmackDown and WWE altogether through a very pandemic time. At number 9, we have Roman Reigns versus Kevin Owens' friend Sami Zayn at the Elimination Chamber. This was a match that, as usual, we saw Roman Reigns dominate the match while talking trash. And one thing that was special about Roman is during his time as a heelish reigning champion, he has been known to talk trash while kicking someone's ass. That's a good one. In any event, this was one of them. He talked trash right in front of Sammy's wife. That was cold. But Sammy was very competitive in this match, doing Superman punches and a whole bunch of haluva kicks and all, but that wasn't enough. It took a whole lot of stuff. Roman kept coming back, and not to mention, we saw the Usos get involved, one of them accidentally spearing Sami Zayn. But after a whole bunch of chair shots and a spear, Sammy lost. Now let's go to number 8. That was the triple threat match at WrestleMania 37 against both Edge and Bryan Danielson, then known as Daniel Bryan. As a custom, Roman, ever since returning in 2020 to get the championship back, as a custom, Roman has been main eventing WrestleMania Sundays ever since. And this was the first of many times you would see him do that. Excuse me. And so, this was a match that helped Roman get a special quote because this was a match that Roman Reigns won by stacking and pinning both Edge and Daniel Bryan at the same time. I don't think that's ever been done before, but he was the first one, pun intended, to do this. So, that being said, Roman would go on to talk about stacking and smashing. I don't like saying that word too much, but he went into talking about stacking them and the other thing. It sounds a little sus, but nonetheless, this was where he would get that famous line because Roman is the only one who has ever stacked and pinned. No pun intended to the NXT up-and-coming star with Tony D'Angelo stacks. At number 7, we have Roman Reigns versus Matt Riddle on an episode of Friday Night Smackdown, June the 17th of last year. This was a match, let's give credit. Roman Reigns hasn't always showed up, but he has shown up more times than not. And if you compare his whole reign as champion to when heel Brock was champion, Roman Reigns has showed up so many times, even when he wasn't in action. And this was one of the rare times you got to see the tribal chief in action on SmackDown for the WWE Universal Championship, may I add. But he did it. And he had a great main event match with Matt Riddle. Matt Riddle pulled out Randy Orton's RKO in homage to his tag team partner and mentor. But that wasn't enough because Matt Riddle got caught in air for an air caught spear by Roman Reigns, which would win the match for Roman. But can I please just point out this? He won the match, but this match is so special because this is one of the few matches that Roman Reigns actually won on his own. Can we just point that out? With all due respect, I know we're supposed to celebrate the guy, but Jesus, of one of the few matches he won by himself. Gosh. Speaking of my point, going to number 6 is his match with Cody Rhodes at the recent WrestleMania. And the thing was, despite all that constant interferences from Solo Sikoa and the Bloodline, this was actually a good match. We saw Cody Rhodes go for cutters and disaster kicks, but we also saw him use the pedigree. And speaking of the pedigree, many people put Cody's loss at WrestleMania to the idea of Triple H not forgetting that he smashed the throne, not forgetting about whatever. But in any event, Roman Reigns would win this match with help from Solo Sikoa and his Samoan Spike. And let's talk about the fact that Roman did overcome the fact that there was interference by KO Zania, as I dubbed the team of Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Going forward to number 5, we have Roman Reigns in a triple threat match versus Bobby Lashley and the newly WWE champion Big E. Now, let's give credit where credit is due, because Big E and Roman Reigns did something that night, and they were the two to compete twice. Earlier that night, it was the Bloodline versus the New Day, and of course, the Bloodline won as Roman speared Woods. However, that was also the nights we saw Roman compete for the second time in an amazing triple threat main event we saw spears, we saw people go through announce tables, we saw chair shots, but in the end, it was Lashley taking a spear from Roman Reigns, which would get the W for our tribal chief, Roman. Hopefully, we never got to see the Almighty versus Roman Reigns during the time because both were heels and both were unstoppable champions. However, with babyface Lashley being drafted to SmackDown, it is a huge possibility that we will get the tribal chief and the Almighty under this persona, unlike it was in 2018, long before they had their amazing unstoppable personas. Moving forward to number 4, we have a match. And by the way, Roman Reigns is the king of triple threats. And by the way, let's move forward because in this next match, we have Roman Reigns facing off against the man that loves and dislikes Roman at the same time. I'm talking about fellow former Shield member Seth freaking Rollins. This match took place at the Royal Rumble 2022 of last year, and this was a match. It was, first off, great match. The match in itself was great, but it was a whole lot of controversy at the end. See, it all started because Seth Rollins really got into Roman Reigns' head after the reminding him of the betrayal, and then coming to the Royal Rumble with the Shield music. I know John Moxley had to love that in AEW. And it was a great match. We saw Roman go through a table, take a curve stomp, and attempt a spear, only to have it countered by the pedigree, just like at Money in the Bank 2016. But Roman Reigns kept going. And when Roman finally connected with the spear and Seth Rollins kicked out, it got to Roman's head, which would make Roman lose the match by disqualification after the guillotine lock. But with Roman being the one to walk away from the fight, it's almost as if Roman felt like the winner. Even though the match was a controversial ending, like I said, great match. And I hope Rollins wins this Sunday because that would really be a great match to put on my Seth Rollins list because Seth Rollins' birthday is in a couple of days also. And hopefully he'll celebrate it as WWE champion. However, with this review that I'm doing right now, it is obvious that we will not forget Roman Reigns. But hopefully that win at Night of Champions will help us celebrate Seth Rollins more. Moving on to number 3, we have Roman Reigns versus Logan Paul at Crown Jewel. The match was better than I expected. I didn't know if it was going to be a good match. I thought Roman was, to be honest with you guys, I honestly thought Roman was going to kill the man. But what I thought was so funny about the match was that we mentioned how Roman talks trash during the match. Jerry Lawler hates that because Jerry Lawler hates getting beat up while you're talking mean to him. Which is why Jerry Lawler never met a professional dominatrix because he would hate, I guess, of all the crazy things sexually that Jerry Lawler would probably be into, having a dominatrix talk trash to him would just turn him off because he hates being degraded while being beat up. Moving forward, Roman Reigns did just that, talking trash. But what was funny was when he had Logan in the headlock, and he said, I'm sending all you YouTubers, don't come to WWE. This is my show. Ain't none of you coming here. Not you, not Mr. Beast. Y'all stay there. I'll kick all your butts. It ain't nothing you can do about it. Roman's just the master trash talker. But what was funny was Logan Paul was in the headlock talking back. Like, ain't none of y'all coming. Logan Paul is like, oh, yes, we are. We're coming. We're coming. I'm like, you're getting your butt kicked and you're trying to talk back. That was funny. What was even more ridiculous was when he said, hey, you might be the head of the table, but I am the table. Logan buried himself with that. But in any event, I thought Roman was going to kill him. But it was actually a good match. Logan did the knockout punch and the selfie frog splash. The old school wrestlers would probably have a problem with that because you're posting selfies while wrestling. They would call that the issue with millennials. I don't know. But in any event, this was still a great match that Roman won, as expected. Did you really think Logan was going to beat Roman? Come on. Number 2, we have Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre at Clash at the Castle. This was good. We have Roman Reigns is good at taking heat when he's in some enemy's territory. He was in enemy's territory with Sami Zayn, as mentioned earlier, and here when they were overseas in Europe at Cardiff Wells, Drew's domain. And of course, Roman didn't let that get to him because he demanded acknowledgement right in the middle of the fight. We saw Karrion Kross was in the audience that night, but we saw Drew McIntyre spear Roman Reigns twice, stealing his move outside on the barricade and in the ring. But it was the Claymore that was supposed to win the match before we saw the debut of Solo Sikoa. In the wild card of the match, we saw Austin Theory try to interfere to cash in, but got knocked out by one of God's favorite boxers, Tyson Fury. Another one of God's favorite wrestlers is Evander Holyfield. But in any event, despite all of that, Roman Reigns won the match, but Tyson Fury was able to cheer up Drew McIntyre by singing a song, and we saw a t shirt about somebody being a better dad than someone who would have had a birthday this month on the 21st. But at number one, we have Roman Reigns in one of the absolute wildest matches I have ever seen in my life. Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar, SummerSlam last year, 2022. And all the years I've been a WWE fan, I have never, ever, ever seen a match like this. And we've all seen some crazy things. We saw Roman Reigns, we saw Stone Cold drive vehicles into the arena on numerous occasions, but no one has ever tilted a ring with a wrestler in it. Brock Lesnar did that. And this was during the early stages of Triple H owning and running WWE. So thank you, Triple H. And also, can we just point out that Roman Reigns catching the microphone was a thing of amazement. That was good. Only the tribal chief. But with that match, a lot of things happened. The match was chaotic. Michael Cole's commentary made it much better. And then we saw interference from, again, Austin Theory. But that wasn't enough. Austin got attacked, I believe, by Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar also F5'd the super heavyweight Paul Heyman, who has a crush on Kayla Braxton for whatever reason. And also, we saw Roman and the Bloodline, interferences again, Roman and the Bloodline had to bury Brock under a whole bunch of metal to keep Brock Lesnar down for a 10 count because it was a last man standing match. And Michael Cole was hilarious when he said, "For the love of God, ref, count faster!" Best match ever. I'm watching that match today as a marathon for Roman. But that's my top 10 favorite Roman Reigns picks. Let me know in the comment section below, what was your favorite Roman Reigns match, regardless of whether he won it on his own or with help. But let me know in the comment section below, what was your favorite. And for now, that's all the time I have for you today. I'm your host, Daniel Cody. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed, and I'll be back with another review on all things wrestling. See you next time.